Welcome all to the Bobcat Bulletin podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Salas. Today, my co-hosts I got Alyssa and Jordan next to me. Good morning, y'all. Hope y'all have had a good morning. Hope the days started off well for you. Today, we're going to talk about some Bobcat baseball first. We're also going to go over some women's basketball, some big games yesterday all around, and then we're going to talk about some men's basketball. And then we're going to go ahead and take a look at tennis, and then we'll end things off with track today. So, starting things off, baseball, Bobcat baseball. The Bobcats came off of course, a really good tournament this last weekend. I'm sure it was talked about in the Monday podcast, so we'll talk about what happened yesterday. They played against A&M Corpus Christi, and they ended up losing that game. I was there. It was pretty intense there. Did y'all get to look at the stats or anything, or were y'all at the game? Any thoughts on that game yesterday?
I got a chance to watch, not to watch, but to look at some of the stats in the game. Looked like they played pretty well. They only lost by one run. I did see that head coach Trout did say that he thought they played pretty bad, allowing 10 walks. But overall, I thought it was a good game, even though we lost.
Yeah, no, like what you said, it was very close. I think overall, they did play a good game. I think on the stats, they were just, I think a couple of walks that should not have happened.
Yeah, they definitely should not have given up as many walks as they did, and that's been an issue so far for Texas State this season. As well as last season, that was really our Achilles heel, was our pitching. It wasn't the best, and we've seen some improvement this season so far, but it's still something that we definitely need to improve on. When you think about Texas State, and I think when you ask somebody who doesn't go to Texas State what their thoughts on our baseball program is, well, recently it's our hard hitting and the home runs that we score. That's how we've been getting our national attention. There was that big home run that Aaron Lugo hit over the weekend when he was blowing that bubble. That picture went kind of viral. I'm not sure if y'all saw it.
I saw that picture. It did go viral.
I'm not, but it sounds pretty good, honestly.
Someone photoshopped it and put it on like a Big League Chew bubble gum packaging.
That's funny.
And I saw on Twitter, Big League Chew responded. They put the eye emojis. So I don't know, maybe we'll see a collab or something, make an NIL deal with that. But yesterday, in this baseball game, you said we had 10 walks, 10 Jordan?
Walks. 10 walks. Yes,
yeah,
sir. That's
not going to get it done. Our hitting, though, again, it's usually the same guys. Although we can hit all around, Ryan Farber, the freshman sensation, played really well last night when it came to hitting. He had a triple. Chase Mora, another guy known for his batting skills, he had a single that brought in an RBI and advanced another player to second base. But in the end, the Bobcats ended up falling 6-5. This game went down to the bottom of the ninth inning, of course, because we were the home team. And it got really intense in the end. It always comes down to when we have 2 outs left. I'm pretty sure that's just how this season's going to go. It's going to be close games every single time.
Yeah.
And we're so close to scoring there. We just didn't. But then, let us play that game again, and I bet you we hit a walk-off home run.
Yeah.
So it's going to have to come down to pitching, I think, to continue with some success this season. But moving along.
Well, before we move along, I did want to shout out Chase Moore, the sophomore, for being the Sun Belt Player of the Week.
Good.
Yeah, just
Good,
want to
Jordan.
shout him out. He deserves that.
Oh, yeah, he really does.
He does. It seems like a lot of our guys this last week could have received that award with the way that they played as a team down in Houston at Minute Maid Park. But yeah, shout out to Chase Mora. I can't believe I forgot that right there. Any other accolades that we should announce, or should we move on to women's basketball?
We can move on to women's basketball,
Cool. All right. So, as you all know, the Sun Belt Conference Championships, Sun Belt Conference tournament has begun for both women and men. The women yesterday playing during the day fell just short. They lost 72-70 to Georgia Southern in a game that also came down to the wire, just like baseball. I believe that Georgia Southern was up 70-62. I think that we tied that game up with like 4 seconds or something like that. And then Georgia Southern, or it might have been they were able to score with 4 seconds left to go up by 2. But either way, that's a really close game. And I mean, for that to be the first game of the Sun Belt tournament for both of these teams this year, it's a tough way for Texas State to go out.
That is
What are your
tough.
thoughts?
That's tough. Losing by 2 points, that's one shot. You're one shot away from at least tying the game up to have a chance to win. So I kind of feel for our Texas women's basketball team because they were so close. But
Oh yeah, it sounds like they weren't doing so well at the start, and then they really tried to like catch up. So to like really lose by like 2 points when you were doing that well was not. Probably doesn't feel that great.
I got my facts straight here. So Georgia Southern scored to make the game 72-70 with 3 seconds left. So the Bobcats were able to get a last shot off, but they weren't able to hit the buzzer beater to tie the game. So that's how they lost.
geez, that's a hard loss.
Our freshman Julia Coleman,
Oh, she played phenomenal yesterday.
she went off. Did you guys see that? She had 18 points.
Yeah, she was leading in points, blocks, and rebounds.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty good for a freshman.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
From a freshman, I mean, playing already in the conference tournament. I mean, that's a lot of trust on your coaches and your teammates that they have in you, and to go out there and put 18 points up.
18 points.
That's a lot of points. I mean, it really is. She went 7 for 10 shooting, 4 for 5 from the free throw line, and I'm sure that she was a big part in the Bobcats' comeback yesterday, although they did fall short. But they were losing by a lot more than 2 points in that game. So they showed a lot of fight, a lot of resilience. Anything else about some women's basketball, Jordan?
I'm glad that you went to me. Just want to shout out Janiyah Henderson. She is the first in the Sun Belt Conference and the second in the nation for free throw shooting, with a shooting percentage of .938.
Wow.
Pretty good.
That's like 93%,
Yeah.
pretty much. And free throw shooting, crucial part of the game.
Crucial.
It's overlooked a lot, but I mean, when you're able to put up that free throw percentage, that's really impressive. And I mean, that's really useful for a team, especially
Who just
late.
lost by 2 points.
Yeah, when you just lost by 2 points. I'm sure there were 2 free throws in that game that were missed. Maybe we should have had Janiyah Henson in there shooting those. We need to get her fouled more coming the next season. But
Exactly.
your leading scorer for that game was, of course, Julia Coleman with 18. Janiyah Henson, only 2 points shy of Julia's with 16 points. Janiyah also had 3. Just kidding. Hold on, my stats went away. Crystal Smith had 11 points and Morgan Hill had 9 points. So, really good job for the Bobcats this season. Fell just short. They're going to finish their season off 14-18 overall, 4-14 in the Sun Belt. And I'm sure they are going to be headed home from Pensacola where the tournament took place, and they're going to start getting ready for this next season coming up. All right, let's talk about some men's basketball. That is some better news for us to talk about because they got the win. And I got to see the end of this one. I was at the baseball game yesterday, so I didn't get to watch the entire basketball game. This one was also in Pensacola for the Sun Belt Conference Tournament Championships. And this was a close game. It really was, and it came down to the end. I got to see the end. It was a really strange play that happened. Well, first of all, Georgia Southern and us, I believe we were tied. There wasn't much time left in the game, probably around, I'll pull up the stats right now to get it straight, but they score 3, go up by 3, we come down, we score 3, we tie it. And then as time's expiring, this is a little bit later on, Georgia Southern has the ball to try and get the last shot off, essentially, to hit a buzzer beater. The dude shoots it from like 3/4 of the court and it goes in and they start celebrating and Texas State just looks distraught. And there was like a glitch in the score bug on TV because it said that there were 5 seconds remaining, something like that. So we should have got the ball back. Whatever, they're celebrating. But the clock actually expired when he shot the ball. And it expired just like a millisecond before he released it out of his hand. So the shot didn't count, fortunately for Bobcat fans and the Bobcat team. So they were able to take that one to overtime. And I think you got some stats for that, Jordan. You want to give us a score and just, some of our leading players from that game?
I can go ahead and I can go with some leading players. Colton Benson, he had a 28-point night.
Wow.
I've seen Colton play. That guy is phenomenal. Him, Jordan Mason, and Brandon Love, those guys, they're some heavy hitters, I guess you want to say, for
Right.
our men's basketball team.
They really are, and I'm going to step in because I really think the same thing. This team's really young. Jordan Mason, like you mentioned, he's a sophomore.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be really good. Colton Benson, I believe he may be just a little bit older than that, but he's a guy that played somewhere else before this. He played at Army, and then he came back to Texas State. He's from this area, and he's a great shooter. He's the one that tied that game up for us. And when I watched the game, at least, he was the one that took over. And to have 28 points.
28 points the whole night.
Yeah.
That's a little insane. I don't know too much about basketball, but like I do know like that's pretty good, especially because you basically count for like a third, like the team's points.
Yeah, we scored 92 points yesterday actually, but the game went into overtime, so we had about 5 extra minutes to score to put up those numbers.
Between those three, they put up majority of the points because Brandon Love and Jordan, they both put up 19 points each.
Yeah, that is absolutely correct. And so, those two guys definitely carried this team last night. So we ended up winning that game in overtime. We, as in Texas State, it's a Texas State podcast. We won it 92-83 in one overtime. And just looking through the basic little box score here, in the first half, ending the first half, we were down by 10 points. Old Dominion was winning 38-28. In the end of the second half, we outscored them by 10 points. So we put up 46 in the second half, they put up 36. And then in overtime, we doubled what they put up in overtime. We had 18, they had 9. We pulled away from that game and won it by 9 points. Another guy we didn't even mention yet, Davion Sykes, another young guy. He's a sophomore. He had 11 points. And talking about big games like from Colton Benson, who had 28. Last game that I watched, Davion Sykes had 30.
Jeez.
So I think these guys might be coming alive at the right time, right? It's the beginning of the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
They're starting to put up, pretty impressive numbers. What do y'all think they need to continue on to, push forward in this tournament? To win the tournament, they need 5 wins. You can't lose any games. You got to win 5 straight, and you're the tournament champion.
I think they just kind of need to continue what they keep on doing. I know I can't speak for some of the other games, but I know like this one, it was like pretty tight at first, in the first half, but they really showed through the second half. So, it's not ideal, but in the end they won. So I think they just need to keep on doing what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. I can say the good things that they're doing. I went to one of their basketball games about a week ago when they went against UL Monroe. Completely blew that team out. That was a great game to watch. I think that they did a good job. The head coach did a good job of making sure the players were rotated out. Their defense was pretty good. Their offense was amazing. Texas State men's basketball is doing pretty good right now. That team was a lower level team, I guess you want to say. That sounds awful, but they just played phenomenal that game. So they're doing good right now. Just, I guess, keep doing what you're doing.
Exactly. If I had to answer my own question, I would just say continue what you're doing right now because, I mean, the beginning of the season didn't go so hot for y'all. But all of that can be put behind because truly it doesn't matter. In this tournament, it doesn't matter what your record is. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is if you can win the game. So if you had no team chemistry in the beginning of the season, if you had no players, if whatever the excuse was, that's all behind you. And hopefully these guys realize that, and I'm sure they do. I'm sure Coach TJ is, really trying to motivate them. And this would be a really big underdog story to come out and win this tournament. It's possible. It is. You saw that we knocked off Troy a couple weeks ago, and that was a top team in the conference. So it's possible for this team to do it. They just got to keep out and They just got to keep putting performances out like they did last night from their guys. So again, the final score of that game was 92-83, and the Texas State Bobcats advanced to the second round of the tournament, where they will face Southern Miss, and that game is going to be on Thursday, March 6th at 5 p.m. So we'll be tuning into that one, cheering on the Bobcats, hoping they advance. Let's go ahead and talk about a little bit of tennis now. We got a little bit of stuff on them. They've been doing really well lately. I think it's always a great thing when I'm a guy that likes to go on Twitter and get his sports news, directly from the team and their updates from the guys that cover the team around the school and this program. And I think it's really cool when I go on and instead of just seeing, the typical football, basketball, there's guys talking about how our tennis team's doing and other sports like that. Yeah, definitely. And they're doing really good right now. I think you got some more info on that, Jordan.
They're at least our women's tennis team is third in the conference right now, so we're doing pretty good with 6 straight wins. So they're doing awesome.
6 straight wins.
Wins.
I know that we've definitely got some talent on this team, probably some transfers. Tennis is one of those sports where you can definitely go out and get some people from maybe some other countries or some different areas because, in other places, they're not training to play all the sports that we do here in America, so they've got their niche sports, and they're really talented at that. I think you got some info on one of those players, Jordan.
Yes, I don't want to butcher her last name, but I believe it's her first name is Sofia Fontuno. She's a transfer from Venezuela. Texas State actually was not her first choice to come and play. She originally signed with Western Kentucky University. But after meeting with the coaches and stuff like that, she quickly changed her decision and came to Texas State to play tennis on a full ride. But she's an asset to our women's tennis team. An asset. Playing in singles and doubles.
Definitely. Have y'all ever played tennis?
No.
I've hit a tennis ball around, never actually played. I've played some pickleball. It's a lot different from tennis, though. It looks similar. But, that's a really difficult sport, and I think it needs to get some recognition. But, as you were saying, they won their 6th straight win. They defeated UTRGV 4-3 to earn that 6th straight win. And they ended their non-conference play schedule with their longest winning streak in 10 years. So, this is their longest winning streak since 2014. Really impressive. I think they've got some good things going. And I'm definitely going to be paying attention to Texas State women's tennis and trying to keep up with that as much as I can. Maybe learn a little bit more about tennis because I definitely need to.
I have nothing about tennis. I don't know anything about tennis.
Really, but the Texas State tennis team is obviously doing very well. Definitely worth something watching. They just had their longest streak in 10 years. So.
All right. One more topic before we go ahead and end this. We're getting to the time of year when it's the national championships for track and field, indoor at least. Outdoor will start a little bit shortly after. But we do have some qualifiers for this year's national championship. So, Dominic Yancey, he runs the 200 and the 400. He's going to go ahead and be able to go to the track and field national championships. And this is a big deal because I mean, you're going to compete with the best there is at your level right now. I mean, some of these guys are, I mean, good enough to be like in the Olympics, right? We've seen some of like, these college players. They're super talented. You look at the bigger schools, they usually dominate. I mean, but to get Texas State in there, we've had a good track team historically. But anyways, Dominic Yancey, he's advancing. He's going to run the 200 and the 400, I believe. And then Daniel Harold, he is a hurdler, and he's going to compete in the 60-meter hurdles. And the championships start on March 7th, so that's right around the corner. That's literally tomorrow. Any thoughts on track? Have y'all had any? Y'all like to watch track? You ever been to a track meet?
I mean, I used to throw a little shot put and discus in high school,
Oh, so
but
you
that
got
was
some
about it.
experience.
I wasn't pretty good at it.
Well, I mean, you've done more track and field than I have. Then.
Yeah, I mean, going to the meets, being able to watch them, I think everybody should go out there and do it because it's pretty fun. Just to see how quick these guys are at running, and then to also watch the throwers. Those guys are phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if we've touched on this, but Daniel is training for the Olympics, which I think is awesome. That would be great if we could get somebody that goes to Texas State to compete in the 2024 Olympics in Paris.
That would be really great. I mean, imagine the recognition we get from that, and then for him as well.
Exactly.
That's a huge deal. The
That
Olympics.
is a huge deal. The Olympics, that's like top tier for athletes.
Like
Being able to represent your country, that's cool. That's cool, man.
Yeah. I'm sure like his training is helping a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Just with like even like these conferences and whatnot. Just because I'm sure like it's like a different kind of training,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's more intense. So it definitely will help a lot, and it
100%.
definitely showed with this last championship. He's up there.
We're good. All right, so one more thing before we go. We've got something on Texas State soccer. Is that what you're telling me, Jordan? I think they're playing their some spring games right now. It's not their official season, but always playing, always practicing, trying to get better.
I just wanted to touch on a former Texas State athlete. Her name is Joanna Plata? I don't know. I'm butchering her name.
Juana Plata.
Yes, Juana Plata. I'm glad you know this. She signed a deal with the top division of professional soccer league in Mexico.
Nice.
Yeah, so I did want to touch on that. That's pretty cool to have one of our former athletes.
Yeah, and I think she played, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that she played for her national team. I think it was El Salvador. But I mean, to be able to sign another contract with the professional team in Mexico, you said?
Yes, sir.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Way to go, Bobcats,
Yeah.
Continue your success once you leave here, and I mean, perform for yourself, and also, give your alma mater a little shout out every now and then. That's gonna wrap it up for us this morning, though. So, this morning I was joined with Jordan. I'm Jordan too, and Alyssa. We talked about Texas State baseball and their recent schedule and their upcoming schedule. Talked some women's basketball. Their season is unfortunately over now after last night's game, but they will be preparing for next year. Men's basketball, who's going to be advancing in the Sun Belt Conference tournament. And then we talked some tennis, some track, and then a little bit of soccer in there. This has been Bobcat Bulletin. I've been your host, Jordan. Again, with me, Alyssa and Jordan. Thank y'all for listening. Have a great day.